Are you paying upwards of $200 for a vitamin C serum that isn't even getting into your skin? Well, if you've been searching for the best vitamin C serum, then stay with me. I'm going to show you the exact formulations, percentages, pH levels, and packaging to look for so you guys can get that glow that you've been waiting for. Skip this and you'll probably keep wasting money on underdosed, oxidized serums with zero results. Here's what you'll learn today. First, what makes a good formulation, which form of vitamin C actually penetrates, which percentage ranges matter, and of course the pH and packaging rules that keep it potent. And second, understanding each type of vitamin C so you can pick the right serum for your face, your neck, and your chest based on your skin type and tolerance. And third, how to use vitamin C in real life, how to layer it in your morning routine without pilling and sticking, and a 60-second label audit so you guys can spot the winners right off the shelf. Every week I see the same thing. Half-used bottles of vitamin C that never worked. One bottle's brown and oxidized, so it lost its power before it even hit your skin. Another is a luxury serum that smells nice, but maybe it stings because of the fragrance, or it's the wrong pH and it wrecks your skin barrier. And the third doesn't even list a percentage, so how would you even know if it works? Oxidation happens fast, just like when an apple slice browns, right? If your vitamin C isn't protected and properly formulated, it browns in the bottle too. Your glow kind of lives or dies based on three factors: formulation, percent and pH, and packaging. So if you get those right, the vitamin C delivers. Let's start with the youthful skin hierarchy. We've all heard this before and probably ad nauseum, but sunscreen is the most impactful and important product in the fight against aging. And no, this is not a giant conspiracy to get you to buy toxic chemicals to make you sick. This has been proven now for decades. And then there's retinoids. Retinoids are the second most powerful, and then alpha hydroxy acids, and then finally antioxidants like vitamin C. It isn't the most important skincare product, but it definitely plays a supporting role. If you're sitting there wondering about, peptides or growth factors, exosomes, all of those active ingredients are even beneath the hierarchy of antioxidants because we just don't have enough data to really support any anti-aging effects. So now let's start with all the forms of vitamin C, and not all are created equal. So let's dive into the effective doses. First, there's L-ascorbic acid, which is the gold standard with the strongest human evidence for brightness, collagen support, and photoprotection. It needs about, on average, 10 to 20% at a pH of 3.5 or less. And the downside is it can sting sometimes on sensitive skin or on the neck and the chest, and it oxidizes really fast if it's exposed to air and sun. Vitamin E and ferulic acid are powerful sidekicks. They do help stabilize the serum, and it does improve the photoprotection of it. Then there's I always get this tongue-tied. It's THD as I normally call it, but it's tetrahexyldecyl ascorbate, or THD. It's a lipid-soluble, stable, and gentle form of vitamin C. It's really good for sensitive skin, people that want to use it for maybe their delicate neck or chest, or for really highly reactive skin. You want to aim for about 10 to 20%, but definitely ask the brand for the exact number since it really does vary. And it does have to convert once in the skin to L-ascorbic acid to do the heavy lifting of collagen stimulation and all the antioxidant work. Conversion efficiency is not fully clear though with THD in human studies. Some in vitro data suggest that it does convert, but the exact percentage of conversion, like how much THD actually turns into L-ascorbic in the skin, is still debated. So then we have sodium ascorbyl phosphate, or SAP. It's a really good choice for oily skin, acne-prone skin at about 2 to 5%. It does gently brighten, and it's got a pretty good stabilizer. But this one is really, it's not my favorite just because everyone that's used it, even I have used it, and I really don't see the needle moving quite enough. So if you have sensitive skin, obviously that might be desired for you. And then finally, there's magnesium ascorbyl phosphate, or MAP, which works a lot better for the sensitive skin. or really dry skin, and the percentages are usually 5 to 10%, and it's more about comfort, I would say, than power. But here's the rule of thumb though, choose power with the L-ascorbic acid if you tolerate acids well, or you can choose comfort and stability with THD, MAP, or SAP if your barrier and your neck and chest kind of demand it. Now let's talk about how each one of these gets into your skin. And yes, this part does get a little technical, but stay with me, it'll be short and sweet. The skin's outer layer is mostly oil, so oil-soluble or lipophilic vitamin C like tetrahexyldecyl. It tends to slip through the barrier a little bit more easily by blending in with those skin oils, while the water-soluble or hydrophilic vitamin C like L-ascorbic acid must use tiny water pathways and transporters and usually needs a really smart formulation to cross. So for entry alone, lipophilic delivery is generally superior, but that said, once inside, all forms must act as ascorbic acid to do the real work. The derivatives like THD and all the others need to convert first, while the L-ascorbic acid is already active. pH also helps with the hydrophilic L-ascorbic at a slightly acidic pH of 3.0. More of the molecule is in an unchanged form, which diffuses better and creates a stronger push into the skin. So basically, it means a well-designed low pH water serum can still penetrate very effectively despite the skin's oily wall. Now, packaging and freshness. Green flags are going to be the opaque or airless pumps with a very, tight seal or cap, and then a clear batch or use by expiration date. The red flag packages are going to be clear eyedropper bottles with no percentage listed and a visible amber or brown color shift and heavy fragrance. And you're always going to want to store your serum in a cool, dark place with the cap absolutely tight, and then try to finish it within 3 to 6 months. The fresh mix systems that you do yourself, those ones probably expire a little faster, but they're going to be full potency. So now let's move into your 60-second label audit strategy. Now, when you're shopping at a department store, Sephora, or maybe even your provider's office, check the packaging as we just discussed. Make sure it's opaque and airless. If it's a clear dropper, then definitely pass. And if your face is normal to tolerant and you want to see improvements faster and sooner, or maybe you're, in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, or perhaps you struggle with even pigmentary issues like melasma or dyspigmentation, then definitely go with L-ascorbic acid. Ideally, you want to see on the ingredient list L-ascorbic or ascorbic acid within the first 6 ingredients. Now, check the percentage. It should be written on there, somewhere between 10 to 20%. And then look for antioxidants like vitamin E is a really good one, or ferulic. And make sure the pH is 3.5 or lower. If you're sensitive or reactive, then THD or MAP are much safer. But keep in mind, it's a much, much slower path to glowing skin. Check the percentage for THD. Make sure that one is between 10 to 20%. Or if you're going with SAP, then go with the percentage level of 2 to 5%. Again, if there are no percentages listed, look for the ingredient listed within that first 5 ingredients. It should not be buried below the fragrance or all the extracts. If you're oily or breakout prone, then L-ascorbic is going to be the best option, but just make sure to get it in the hydrophilic or water form. And that's it. This is going to be your quick win. Screenshot it if you need to rewatch or send this video to a friend that loves skincare products. Now, layering and timing are just as important. So in the morning, you're going to want to cleanse and then use, it's always thinnest to thickest. So if you have a watery serum, that goes next, then an oily serum, then it's going to be your moisturizer, and finally, your SPF. You're going to wait 3 to 5 minutes after that, and then you can apply your makeup. Everything should be absorbed and you should be good to go. And make sure to keep the separation of vitamin C and retinoids separate at night. You don't want to blend the two. And what you're going to expect from your vitamin C, if it's fit for you, you should see brightness. You should experience even a little bit of firming in the skin. and the texture starts to get smoother. The firmness does take a couple months of using it, of course, with strict sunscreen application as well. And then for the neck and chest, you can always start with THD first because it's thinner and oftentimes more sensitive, and then ramp up to L-ascorbic. Now for workouts or saunas, if you'll be outdoors, wear SPF over the vitamin C pre-workout. Then afterwards, you're going to rinse and just reapply the moisturizer. After in-office procedures, you're gonna pause all actives for about a week or maybe even 2, depending on what procedure you had. Always refer to your provider for that. And then what you can do is either gently restart with THD or go back in full force with L-ascorbic acid. And the way I like to kind of measure which one to do or, determine which one to do is if you've had an ablative procedure, which is usually a laser, I would enter back in with a THD. If you had microneedling or ultrasound or something non-ablative, then you can go right into your L-ascorbic acid. So here's when and how to ramp up your vitamin C. In weeks 1 and 2, apply every other day. Watch for stinging or tightness. And then by week 3, if your skin still feels good, move to daily mornings. Now for neck and chest, just stay with every other day. If you're stinging or you have irritation, move out to every 2 days and then add a barrier cream or just switch to THD or MAP daily. Now, as promised, I ranked 6 of the most popular medical grade vitamin Cs on the market today. These products include Elastin C Radical Defense, Isden's Flavo C Ampules, SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic, Revision C Complex, and Neova's C20+, and finally, Ingredients L-ascorbic plus vitamin E. These were all ranked according to cosmetic elegance, the skin absorption, the most potent formulation, limited preservatives, and of course, visible results. Let's start with last place. Number 6 has got to go to Elastin C Radical Defense. I know, I love Elastin, but this vitamin C is just lower on the list. This is the sodium ascorbate. So this is definitely a derivative. It's gonna be on the milder form of vitamin C. And I've used this for 3 months and I really wanted to love it. But honestly, if you're going for that glow, this is not gonna be the best one for you. Number 5 has got to be Isden's Flavo C Ampules. And although I like that this one is an L-ascorbic acid, it is only a 5%. And remember we talked about that range between 10 and 20. And I love the idea of keeping it stable by putting it in these little ampules, and you just crack them open and you put it on the skin. It had a really nice kind of serum-y slip to it, and I did notice that it absorbed pretty well after about 2 minutes of sitting on my skin, which was nice. The one reason that sticks out in my mind is when you turn around and you look at the package, the ingredients, the first ingredient is phenoxyethanol. And phenoxyethanol is completely fine. I'm not saying it's a bad ingredient, but when it's the first thing on a list, right, it means that it probably has the most of that ingredient in there. And phenoxyethanol is a preservative. And so for me, that is my drawback. Number 4 is going to be the gold standard that we probably all used at one time or another, the SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic. Now, this one is a 15% L-ascorbic acid, and it's paired with the vitamin E and the ferulic, which is wonderful. But the one thing I can't seem to get over is the cosmetic elegance. It is sticky. And those of you that have used this, you can completely relate. When you put this eyedropper bottle on, I wait, 2, sometimes 5 minutes, and I try to put makeup over that, and it's really difficult. So just with that simple fact, it really affects the compliance for me because I don't want to use that, and I'm sure it's the same for you. Other than that, I think the formulation is great. They have a lot of data and science and studies to back it up, but because of the cosmetic elegance, I ranked it at number 4. Revision's C Complex. This one has tetrahexyldecyl THD in it, which is probably my second favorite to L-ascorbic, but again, lower and slower kind of way of brightening. I've used this one for, years, and I do like it for the neck and the chest. I don't think you're going to see the brightening or glowing effect that you're really going for if you choose this product. It's a nice moisturizer and you're kind of getting 2 steps in one, but you know, it's really not my favorite. The THD is very high up on the ingredient list, so I like that. I like the cosmetic elegance of it. There's a lot of things to like about this product. However, it's just not going to get you there. It's not going to move the needle in terms of glowing skin. Number 2 is going to be Neova's C+. This is a 20% L-ascorbic acid, you guys. And yes, it is paired with the vitamin E and the ferulic as well. So very similar to SkinCeuticals. And this is in a lipophilic or oil-based serum. The only thing I don't love about this is the packaging. It is an opaque bottle, but you know, the seal is relatively tight. But when I've used this, I can tell it's oxidizing pretty quickly because after a week from opening it, it starts to brown and change color and all of that. Now, I do like the absorption in it. It's definitely not as sticky as SkinCeuticals is. It does have a slight stickiness to it, but it does seem to absorb. So this is number 2 on my list. All right, number 1 has got to be a tie between ingredients L-ascorbic plus vitamin E and ingredients Kojic plus vitamin C. And I know I sound a little biased here because I sell this product, but it has taken me 18 years to find a vitamin C product that ticks every single box. So that being said, I'll tell you why I like it. The ingredient L-ascorbic plus vitamin E, right? The packaging, as you guys can see, is in 3 little eyedropper bottles. You take it home, and when you're ready to begin, you mix it up yourself for fullest potency. This is a 15% L-ascorbic acid, and the pH is 3, or 3.0. And so you are getting a really great product that's very potent. Now, the next thing to consider is it's hydrophilic, meaning water-based. So it absorbs in the skin really, really nicely. And then let's say you put the serum on, it soaks right in. You want to do double duty. You could use your revision THD that's not as effective right on top. And then you're getting, like I said, double duty. So I really like this one a lot. It does kind of give you a slight tingle, or it gave me a slight tingle, but that's kind of how I know something is working. And then it's tied with this other really unique way of delivering vitamin C. It's in pad form. So the day that you purchase this, it's mixed up for you and sent out. It has an expiration day for 60 days later after purchase, and they're in pads. So the pads are all pre-soaked. So you just take one out, you wipe it all over the face, and then boom, you're done. You put your makeup on over top. Everything seems to kind of blend really easily. There's no pilling or issues with makeup. And that one is a 10% L-ascorbic acid, but it's mixed in with I believe it's a 5% or maybe a 4% kojic acid as well. So that one is going to be a powerhouse in brightening. And I have a lot of patients that always ask for these, and when they run out, they have to keep replenishing it because they're so in love with it. So this is probably one of the best seller products that I have, but that's for a good reason. So now let's cover some common mistakes and some quick fixes. Not wearing SPF with vitamin C. Okay, you guys, this is happening a lot actually. But remember, vitamin C is not a sunscreen. It is, yes, it's an antioxidant, but it's not gonna do what sunscreen can do for you. So you always wanna pair the two together. Another mistake is chasing only the highest percentage. A lot of people do this because they think, oh, if it's stronger, it's just automatically better. But what you want to do is you want to match the formulation, the percentage, the pH, and of course, the packaging together. Pilling under makeup. Okay, so what you could do obviously is use thinner layers of a product or less drops on the skin and then really massage it in nicely. Or you could try a lipid soluble like the THD, like the Revision C complex is really nice. If you just use a little bit of that, that has a really good absorption and there's no pilling. Irritated neck, and I hear this a lot from my patients, but if your face tolerates L-ascorbic really well, but your neck is always irritated and itching, then definitely switch to THD, or you could even buffer with a moisturizer and slow the cadence. And the next really important topic is budget priorities, when to spend and when to save. So you're gonna wanna spend on vitamin C, retinoids, and sunscreen. Those are the biggest bang for your buck, and it really counts in terms of quality on this. So you can save on things like gentle cleansers or a basic ceramide moisturizer. And another tip could be just to buy smaller bottles so you can finish fresher, especially with L-ascorbic acid. So now that you have all this down, what else are you using with your vitamin C? You better be using a retinoid. Are you using a retinoid? In fact, do you even know the difference between tretinoin versus retinol? To keep real change happening while you sleep, the next strategic skincare move is right here in this video. You'll know if you should use retinol, retinal, tretinoin, and exactly how to pair it with all your other products without irritation. Just amazing results.